yet, we'll do a quick intro with Lon, and then we'll get started from there, and then we'll go out to everybody. So guys, welcome. Obviously, you heard the exciting news that we felt that we needed to bring a HYROX coach in to support a lot of you who are interested in the sport of HYROX while doing your triathlon training as well. Obviously, as you know, in the past, if I am not equipped to do it myself, I have to bring in someone that is able to bring their level of expertise and guidance to support you guys and to support the coaches. Just like, you know, we had Harold who does all the programming for strength. And so I want you guys to all first get to know Coach Lon. A little backstory on Lon and I is when I started the sport of triathlon, if you follow me on Instagram, I actually posted about it. I got into, joined like a bike shop team for triathletes, and Lon was actually in the sport of triathlon at that time, already very successful, had qualified for Kona numerous times, and he can speak to himself as well. And I was lucky enough to like jump on a couple group rides with him and got to know Lon, 15 years ago in the sport of triathlon. And so he was a very successful triathlete, but then retired from triathlon and went on to do HYROX, and was doing HYROX well before we even knew what HYROX was, 5-6 years ago. And so it brings the knowledge of, as being a triathlete, brings the knowledge of having transferred into HYROX, and then having extensive background and knowledge in the sport of HYROX to be able to guide you guys. He's also my coach for HYROX as we're doing this. And then we're going to speak today, after he talks about what HYROX is, what we're doing for you guys if you are interested in the sport of HYROX. So Lon, please take it away and introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm really excited about working with everybody. So Lon Breitenbach, I spent 20 years doing triathlons, and then got out of triathlons and got into doing the HYROX events. And there was just so much crossover. There was so much similarities in the way you train as an athlete. Like, I hit the ground running and found a model for success pretty quickly based on all of my years of doing triathlons. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I've just kind of further gone on to develop the formula, and have been having really good success with it. And I think that one of the things that I really credit my success in HYROX with is all the years of triathlon training, and just understanding a lot of the mechanisms in play. I feel like it gave me a significant advantage against the average person, because I was dealing with a lot of things that were very, very familiar. The biggest of those is running on compromised legs, right? Like, everybody in the sport of HYROX is talking about how, oh my God, it's so hard to try to run, and I'm like, wait, this is just like getting off a bike. There's nothing different. We've been practicing and training this for years and years and years. So that's probably a primary example of the kind of thing I'm talking about. But then also, just like, I think most triathletes really have a very serious type A personality, where they really like to have regimen. They like to really focus in on what they're doing in a very structured way. And that plays in really well too. And 65% of the race is running. And so if you've got somebody who's a really good runner, or somebody who's really comfortable with running while they're fatigued, while they're uncomfortable, they're going to do really well in the sport. I guarantee it. It's really about just making some adaptations where you're taking away some of the volume and you're adding in some just high intensity type stuff. So anyways, that's it. We've got a presentation pulled together to you today. So that kind of runs through it for anybody who's not familiar with HYROX, so that we can kind of give you an overview of it, give you an opportunity to ask me any questions along the way, and hopefully give you guys a better understanding of what's going on with the sport. Natasha, do you want to just pull up, or Ashton?
He's doing it right now. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Let me see. See if I can move this around a little bit, because I'm not quite getting my, see if I can reduce that down. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so I just really kind of put together a presentation, really trying to touch on what is HYROX, why we are getting involved in it, and then as coaches, what do you need to know in order to be successful and to help your athletes, or for that matter yourself. I'd love to see some of y'all jump in and do a HYROX event. That'd be super fun, particularly if we jumped in and did it as teams, as doubles. I think as a group we could have a lot of fun with that.
Lon,
Yeah.
just everyone on the call is the athletes, so the coaches will be on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Sure.
All right. So jumping into this. So what is HYROX? Basically what it is if you can imagine a track, right? A running track. You have a track and it starts off with a 1 kilometer run, and then you go inside the track, and inside the track, you will do 1 of 8 different exercises. So after your first kilometer run, you'll go in and you'll do 1,000-meter erg, an erg ski. If you're familiar with the erg machines, you start off with 1,000 meters of ski ergs. Typically, it takes somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 minutes for a person to complete that. Then you run back out to the track again and run another 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer. And then you come in and there's a sled on AstroTurf. You push that sled 50 meters. It has, depending on what class you're in, anywhere between 200 to 450 pounds on that sled. You push it for 50 meters, do another kilometer run, and then you turn around and there's a rope attached to the sled, and you will pull that sled with a few hundred pounds, another 50 meters, do another kilometer run, and then you'll do what they call burpee broad jumps, which are you go down, essentially do a push-up, jump up, leap forward, jump down, do a push-up, leap forward, and you do that for a total of 80 meters. Then you go out, you do another kilometer run, and then you get on another erg machine, which is the rowing machine. You row 1,000 meters on the erg machine. You run another kilometer. Then you do a 200-meter farmer's carry, which is carrying kettlebells, and you walk with them or try to jog as fast as you can for 200 meters. You do another kilometer run, and then 100 meters of sandbag lunging, where you have a sandbag on your shoulder and you lunge walk forward for 100 meters. You do one final 1 kilometer run, and then you go in and you do 100 wall balls, where you take a big medicine ball and you push it up onto the wall, and you do 100 repetitions of that. And at that point, your race is over. So that's what the HYROX consists of. It's always exactly the same. The format is standardized around the world. And so what that allows for, it allows you to get on and say, oh, how did my competitors in Germany do? How did my competitors in Las Vegas do? And you can get on and you can see where you rank amongst everybody in your age group or whatever bracket you choose to participate in. So the divisions within HYROX, there are essentially 2 main divisions. You have the open division and you have the pro division. And the way it works is with the open division, essentially it's lighter weights. It's for somebody who's new to the sport or might have a slighter frame, or just is not interested in trying to push the heavier weights. So I really recommend the open division to triathletes and runners. It's a great entry point. And if you're a really good runner, it really maximizes that tool of running and minimizes the time you're in doing the other exercises, right? And so it gives you an advantage. And for probably a lot of triathletes, that's a really great place to start out. As you get more advanced and you get better and better at the exercises, you can jump up into the pro division. It's not like triathlon where you need to qualify for the pro division. It's simply a name that says, basically pro division is just, hey, I want to do the heavier weight division is basically what it is. Within that, you can do it as an individual, or you can do it as a double, which means that you can have a teammate along with you and you share those exercises within the track. You have to run together the entire kilometer, but then when you're done, you with that and you go inside to do the burpee broad jumps or the rowing, you share that portion of it. And that gives you a little bit more of a break, and it allows you to kind of have a teamwork, do the teamwork thing and be able to work together. So those are your choices: individual or double, open or pro. The age groups very similar to triathlon. They're 5-year increments. And if you do it as a double with a teammate, then it's a 10-year increment. And then also very similar to Ironman, if you're one of the top finishers, there's slots which qualify you for the World Championship, just like for Ironman and going to Kona.
Yeah, if I can add also there's double. So if you just do men, then there's women's where you can do the open weights or the pro weights. But if you do the mixed doubles, then you do the pro women's weights, which is similar to the men's open weights.
That's right. So that's a very good point, Natasha. You can do 2 men, you can do 2 women, or you can do a man and a woman. And there's divisions for each of those. Does that all make sense to everyone? Any questions at this point?
No. Guys,
Okay.
if you do have questions, you can just type it in the chat or put your hand up and we'll come to you at the end.
Yeah, fantastic. And so just to kind of give you a number of what, kind of give you an idea of what's going on with HYROX, I think it's just surpassed pickleball as the fastest growing sport in the world. It has 83 events around the world in 2025, and I think it's going to have even more in 2026. Right now in North America, there's 14 events around for 2025, and it looks like that number again may increase next year as well as they roll it out to new cities around the U.S. They call it the sport for everybody. And I think one of the great things about HYROX is that you end up doing the race. It lasts somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half. So it's very repeatable. It's not like an Ironman where you might do 2 races a year, maybe 3. These, you can really repeat them. It's an hour and a half effort. The ratio is about 2 men for every woman. And average age is about 33, but there's very similar to triathlon. You'll see people 60s, 70s, and even 80s doing the races. So, and there's 16-year-olds out there too. So very similar to triathlon in that way as well. Again, this growth is one of the things that it's just become so popular. When I first started doing it 5 years ago, there was maybe 500 to 700 people in an event. Now in a weekend event, there's 9, 10, 12,000 people there at one weekend event. And it lasts over 3 days, and they'll break up the different divisions and age groups over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And what's great about that is you can race as an individual on Friday, and if you want to turn around and race as a double with a partner on Saturday or Sunday, that allows you to do that. So again, just by the numbers, it's like a 300% growth rate versus triathlon, which has been averaging about 15%. So it's just coming on super fast, and it just provides an opportunity, I think, for triathletes in their off season to get some very unique and different training, which I think could really augment their off season, give them some off season goals, and come back to triathlon with some really unique and great fitness. Through the process, when I changed over, I put on about 15 or 20 pounds of muscle in order to adapt to the HYROX, but found that I was a better, stronger runner. And it really allowed me to have like a lot of resilience and fitness to do high-end effort. So I really have been enjoying it. I touched on a few of the reasons why I think triathletes are kind of uniquely positioned to do well. Obviously, the triathlete has so much cardiovascular foundation, and that is probably the most critical thing in this sport. Even though you're doing these other unique kind of exercises, that basis that you have, that zone 2, that big foundation in running and cycling, that will propel you to success. 65% of this thing is running. So you're going to do well if you have a fundamental understanding of the events and how to get through the HYROX specific stuff. You're going to do really well, right? And part of that, like I touched on, is this idea of compromised running. After you've pushed that sled that weighs 200 or 300 pounds, you can imagine your quads are all filled up with lactate and blood, just like you just got off the bike, right? And a lot of the people at these events are completely unused to that, whereas the average triathlete is like, okay, I know what this feels like. I know if I stick with it for a little bit, I'll find my run legs, they'll get rolling again, and I'll be fine, right? So again, just gives you a really good advantage over a lot of the athletes. Nutrition isn't something that HYROX people think about, and they just don't even think that they need to be thinking about bringing a gel, hydrating before. Again, triathletes, this is part of their daily, it's right. Nutrition is the fourth sport in triathlon. So really having a fundamental understanding of the nutrition will help you. Again, you understand how to train, the plans, the periodization, and how to make sure that you've put a structure in place to ensure your success. And I think that those things all lead to a really successful experience in HYROX. The ones that I see doing the best consistently have triathlon backgrounds. What does that mean?
We can go to the next one, I think.
Yeah. And so, I think for the triathletes, what does this mean, right? Like what are we going to do to address getting you ready for HYROX versus triathlon? So there's a power and strength element that really comes into play. To be able to push a 300 or 400 pound sled requires that explosive, right, fast twitch muscle fiber. And we're going to have to develop some of that. And we'll do that through doing things like squats. We'll do things like some different kinds of presses, strengthening both the shoulders and also a lot of the chain that consists of your glutes, your hamstrings, and calves, right? So there'll be some general physical prepared type stuff like the squats, the deadlifts, the Bulgarians, and then there'll be some specific stuff where we'll have you doing the exact exercise, the lunges, the wall balls, and the sled work. We'll have you do them both fresh, but then we'll also have them in your compromised state so that you get used to being like, okay, this is what it's going to feel like on race day. Let's see. So this building on that idea, we will have to get you used to a lot of the machines like the erg. There is a definite skill associated with how to use the rowing machine, how to use the ski ergs, technique to make you more efficient at the burpee broad jumps and the lunges. It's not rocket science, a few weeks of working on it and you'll make massive improvements. But there is definitely some skills, some drills that we need to work with you to make sure that you understand, one, and first and foremost, how to keep you safe and so that you don't get injured. But two, how to be as efficient as possible on these things so that you can ensure that you can move through them efficiently, cleanly, and get back to your run. And then finally, what we'll do is we'll do a simulation day, typically once a week, where we run you through perhaps the entire race, but a shortened version of it. So you get used to the experience. Just like when you first did that your triathlon and you went from swim to bike and your heart rate went through the roof and you were like, oh my God, I got to take my wetsuit off and I got to put it in the bag and then I got to get my helmet on and my sunglasses and my shoes and then we want to make sure that you're really, really comfortable with, okay, first I go to this station, then I go to this station, then I go to this station, and it becomes very, very just ingrained in your mind. So you're not panicking, you're not thinking about, oh gosh, am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be there? You just naturally do it like you probably do now with triathlons.
Awesome.
And so, I think that for us, as you see, we're starting to roll out things immediately. We'll be launching it at the end of the month, making all of our formal type stuff on Instagram and getting HYROX workouts started here in Austin. On Wednesday is our first workout here in Austin, where we will be doing HYROX specific work. And then for the HYROX season, if you look at a triathlon season, it typically starts in the springtime, March, April, and then runs through nominally Kona, right? In October, your first full moon in October. And then maybe you stick around and you do Ironman Florida, but you're done, October, November. In HYROX, it starts up typically in November and then October, November, and then runs through to June, and it's over in June. So it's a slightly staggered, the World Championships happen in June. They happen in a different location every year. Last year was in Nice, France. This year was in Chicago. So they do move the World Championships around. But these are some of the dates, if you can see this. September is in Acapulco. Boston, Mexico City, Chicago in November, Dallas in November, and then Anaheim in December. And they've just released the 2026 races. In January and February, there'll be a race in Las Vegas and Phoenix. So, and there'll be a whole lot more coming in 2026. But that gives you a kind of a sense for how frequently the events are happening, 2, 3, 4 a month almost. And so there's lots of opportunities to race. And the great part about it is if you feel like, oh, I could have done that one better, well, give it 2 to 3 weeks and go to another race and you can, right? So lots of opportunities and it's a ton of fun. I really encourage everyone to give it a shot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any kind of questions or thoughts or anything that I wasn't clear on?
Yeah, on my side, Lon, I thought you did a great job. Obviously, we just want to open it up if any of you guys have questions for right now. I know, obviously, most people listen to this after the fact, but before I speak, if anyone here has questions. Okay. So, guys, yeah, I'll speak to how we're going to offer it. So, obviously, Lon is going to be a coach for us, both HYROX. If you just want to do HYROX, just say in the off season, he would be a coach just for that, just our one-on-one usual experience that you get with our triathlon coaching. He is a triathlon coach as well with his entire experience. So he would be able to do triathlon and HYROX coaching both together. And then if you did want to stick with your current coach, Lon is going to be overseeing and guiding all our current coaches so that they can also be equipped with the right workouts to give you alongside, whatever training in the off season that you plan to be doing. And then we'll also be doing plans as well. So we've offered the enhanced training plan for triathletes who just want kind of no feedback from the coach. They just need some structure towards their key races, and we'll be offering that as well towards HYROX events. And then, as we said, in Austin, I see a couple of you guys here. We'll be doing it in conjunction with our Wednesday track workouts. So you can kind of decide, depending on where you are in your season, if there's no race coming up, 1 week you could do the HYROX session, which will be running around the track. And then, some of the HYROX specific work, strength exercises. And then the next week you could decide to do the tempo run that we're doing with our usual athletes there as well. So Lon, do you want to add anything to that?
No, but I would just encourage anybody who has questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to answer any questions and help you out and get you started. And there's no bad or wrong or silly questions. So feel free to hit me up. I'd love to interact and connect with as many of y'all as I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Lon.
For sure.
Okay, guys. Meeting 1 done on HYROX. So we're excited to offer it. You know, the reason it came about, I'll let you know, is we have a lot of people on the team that are doing it. They're interested in the sport, and we just wanted to equip ourselves to be able to support them alongside their triathlon journey. And so that's where it kind of started. And then the sport's just getting so big. So it makes sense that as coaches that we understand what it's all about and are able to offer it. And then of course, meeting Lon and then my interest in HYROX, I'm like, well, this makes total sense. Like we should do this. And Lon, as you just saw, is fantastic. And so we're just really excited to have someone else in addition to our current coaches who are all great, be here to support you guys. So, okay. You guys have a good Sunday. Bye, Will. Bye, Brian, Matt, Adrian. We'll see you guys on some of you this week. Bye.